Phew! So, November was quite an exhausting but also successful month, and I'm really relieved now. But yeah, welcome back to another update for an Unwound Clockwork, and let me tell you everything about the longest scene of the entire movie, timing in at over 48 seconds of continuous animation, including a very long, slow camera movement, and yeah, pulling this thing off was, I think, the most challenging thing I did so far. So yeah, luckily we were able to use a studio at another place for exactly 2 weeks. So the first thing I started in November was preparing everything to be moved to the new studio. And wow, was it a lot of stuff. I really underestimated it, but it was an entire room full of set pieces, lighting equipment, camera equipment, the motion control unit, a computer and a screen, power supplies, boxes full of props. Yeah, it was really a lot, and moving it to the studio took an entire day. When we arrived there, Maurice and I started preparing everything for the shoot. So first, this was setting up the set on a really rigid table, which wouldn't wiggle when touched, and also screwing the motion control system to the set and the table, so it also wouldn't move around. Then setting up the camera and lights for the entire thing and the computer. And we had multiple cameras for this shoot. Of course, only one camera would do the main animation, but something like this has to be documented. So there were 2 additional cameras capturing, making of time lapses and stuff. More about that later. So in this shot, all the walls, the floor and the ceiling of the set are visible at the same time. And if you imagine a closed box like this, of course there's no way you can light the scene that way, and also the animator can't reach in, of course. So what you do in this kind of situations is take clean plates. This can be just images for a steady shot, but in this case it's a camera movement, so all the clean plates are an entire animation just with the camera movement on their own. So we had one clean plate showing all the foreground objects, one showing the ceiling of the set, and then one with the animation. And later we took another one, basically under the same lighting conditions as the animation, but without the puppet. And every one of these passes are over 1,200 frames for this shot, and took at least a day, if not multiple. And at this point I have to give a huge shout out to Maurice, who helped me for 7 days straight, including 2 night shifts, despite being ill all the time, just to pull this shot off, and it wouldn't have been possible without him. So a huge thanks to him. And yeah, we really made it just in time, because 1 day later Albert Radl, the professional animator, arrived, who had 5 days to animate this shot. And he made it in 4 days, so we were able to do the second shot, which was planned as well. And yeah, he pulled it off to animate 1,220 frames in 4 days, which is just mind-blowing. I mean, as far as I know, at Artman they are doing like 50 frames a day, and he pulled off like 300. It's amazing. I mean, the animation was not that difficult, of course, and we also tried to make it easy for him, but still, that's a lot of frames and quite exhausting. The thing is, I have much more interesting footage from the shoot, and also much more stories to tell about all the challenges we faced. But then again, it's a very important scene from the movie, and I don't want to give away what it's all about, basically. So I thought about it for quite a while, and yeah, I decided there will be an Patreon exclusive extended version of this update with all the details, including spoilers for this shoot, where I'm going to talk through all the challenges we faced and everything. So if you're interested to see the entire story, head out to Patreon right now. The extended update is available to all the supporters there. And as an added bonus, all the supporters on the Steam in a Jar tier at €12 a month will receive a unique screen-used prop from that scene. Don't want to give away what it is, but in the foreground are lots of tiny little objects, and they were only used for this one scene. So we don't need them anymore, and if you want to receive a tiny piece from the movie, that's your chance. So yeah, head out to Patreon to check that out. Okay, so welcome back to the public section of this update video. So as I told before, after the huge 48-second shoot, we had 1 day left of Albert, the animator's time, and there was another scene which was planned to be done, and luckily it worked out. So as Albert was working basically from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening on the animation, the only way we could have changed the setup to the next scene was doing it overnight. So another night shift for Maurice and me from Thursday to Friday. And yeah, we removed the old setup and set up the new scene. And yeah, this one was a much smaller camera movement and a much simpler animation. So not much to tell about it, but it works, and it was the last puzzle piece to complete this set. And I'm really relieved to say that set is now done. No more shots showing this set. There will be some close-ups, but those close-ups don't show the set. There are only hands and props and part of the desk, but the set is ready to be decommissioned, basically. It's not going to be scrapped, but we are going to use this aluminum frame to build the next office set, the human boss office, which will be up next, and now is the time to start rebuilding everything. Once again, I really have to thank Maurice and Albert for making this possible. They both put so much time and effort into this shot, and I'm so thankful for both of them. Thank you, you two. So, quite understandably, Maurice and I didn't have much time to work on something else in November, but there are still some other news from Inka and Ulrich. So Inka has made a lot of progress on the post-production of the other office scenes. I met with her yesterday and discussed all the shots she has worked on, and she also recorded some nice time lapses of her working this time. I think there's not much I can say about it without spoiling, but it's nice to have some progress there as well. And Ulrich is still working on the human boss character. Progress is a bit slower than we hoped, but he was able to make the first test cast of the human head in silicone, and I think it looks nice so far. It's not perfect, but we can confirm that the 3D printed mold looks fine, the texture is nice, and the consistency of the new silicone is also great. The only thing is we have some issues with the reliability of the 3D prints. As I said, we're using one of those liquid resin printers because the resolution of those is really high enough to make molds without having visible rims or anything. But here and there are some strange flaws in the molds, like missing material or kind of an offset between layers suddenly. And we suspect it might be due to temperature because his printer is standing in a kind of a cold room. But we're not sure. He still has to figure that out. Maybe if some of you has experience with a 3D printer of that kind, or you have one of those yourself, maybe reach out to us. Maybe you can give us some tips, or maybe you can print some molds for us. Maybe, yeah. Anyways, right now we're looking into companies who might do the prints for us. As I heard, it's not too expensive nowadays, so maybe that's a solution as well. We will see. But that still needs a bit of tinkering. And at last, two other nice things. Last month I said I'm going to need a new computer and a new camera. And like a miracle, two very nice patrons reached out to me and said, yeah, sure, I'm going to buy you a used computer and here's my old camera. And so thank you to those two supporters. It's really kind and very helpful. The new computer was already in use for the big shoot we had this month, and it did a great job, and I think it's actually the best computer I'm having right now. And the camera is a Canon EOS 60D, also a bit of an older model, very similar to the ones I'm using, but this one is in really good shape, and I'm using it to record this video right now. So that's really helpful. Thank you so much. I think that's it for this month's update, but there are also some other things I want to mention real quickly. First of all, I have some new things in my shop, so maybe you're still searching for some Christmas gifts, then check out vf-kinetics.de. I have listed some new of the miniatures I built over the last months, as well as the tiny cutlery earrings, if you're interested in something like this. But also there's quite a new collection of merchandise for an Unwound Clockwork. So besides being a really nice Christmas gift, that's also a very kind way to support my work here. And looking towards next month, Maurice is going to continue working on the Human Boss Characters office set, probably finishing off some of the things he has started in October and the months before that. And of course, also the work on the Human Boss character itself and the post-production is going to continue as usual. But sadly, I won't have much time to work on these things myself, because lots of things have piled up over the last month. First of all, I wasn't able to finish this month's miniature rewards for my patrons in time. So sorry for that, they will be a bit late this time, but I will work on them in the next days and then send them out as soon as possible. And also I got a new little commission I'm working on right now, which also needs to be finished in the next week. So that's that. And over the last year, a lot of making of footage has piled up, and I really want to make a new proper making of for one of the topics for Christmas. And so if everything goes well, you can expect a new little making of about something between Christmas and New Year probably. So that's also something I want to do for the end of the year. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing a bit more details, then check out my Patreon. The longer exclusive version of this update with more details about the shoot is available to all the supporters on all the tiers there. And if you want to get a unique, original screen-used prop from that shoot, then check out the Steam in a Jar tier. Exclusive offer. Not sure if I'm going to do this ever again, but right now it's a chance to get a piece from the movie. So that's that. Thanks to all the supporters and see you next month again. Bye bye.